Hey everybody, welcome to the Building Your Bank podcast. This is my first episode. I am beyond excited, and if I have to admit, a tad bit nervous, but it's all good. I'm Kara Ivy. I'm the owner of the Ivy League LLC. I'm a personal finance coach that helped individuals to attain financial freedom by shifting your mindset and understanding who and why we are to help us become closer to achieving those financial goals. I have the pleasure of working with Clean Air Media, and establishing this podcast is something that has been on my mind for a while. So when this opportunity arose, I was super excited to take full advantage. I've got a lot in store for what's going to come in the future, and I'm really looking forward to having guests, people come in, share the wealth of knowledge that they have, and us just kind of growing together. So I guess to get started, I can give you a little bit of information about me, my backstory, where I come from, how we got here. So I am Kara Ivy, born and raised on the east side of Detroit, Michigan. And I grew up on Harding, which is a very rough and tough area. Parents gave me lots of love. I have me and my brothers and sisters. Tons of love. However, I tell people I had brown $1 bills. And if you had brown $1 bills, that was, King Vitamins and all that fun stuff. So growing up, by the age of 6, I knew okay, we're going to go to college. We about to get this education and get life in order. I knew I had a plan, and I'm always wanting to try to figure stuff out. So went to college, Northwood University, where I met my husband and got my first few credit cards. So Express, Old Navy, Target was my initial introduction into credit. And with me not knowing how to handle these things, I ever so politely racked up about $19,000 worth of credit card debt by the time it was all said and done a few years later. My husband, who had a different upbringing when it came to money, he was more frugal than I was. And when we came together, I didn't feel like he would be the one that was responsible for paying this debt because I'd acquired it. It was my fault or my reason as to why I had it. So I took the necessary steps to learn what I could learn and apply these things and principles to my life. And a couple of years later, the debt was paid. And I've noticed after that, lots of people around me had the same concerns, the same issues, were facing a lot of the same problems. And it was that we had all of these marketing tactics around us. We had all of these stores offering us credit cards. We had all of these companies wanting to loan us this money. We had no idea what the fine print was at the bottom of these applications that we were signing off on. We had no idea how interest rates work for credit cards. We had no idea how to even make these credit cards work in our favor. And not only that, we had student loans. We had to face, growing up and graduating college and getting a house and supposed to have a mortgage and not understanding investing and stocks and bonds and retirements, employment benefits. It was just we knew how to live, but we didn't really know how to live. So, and don't throw in the whole idea of hanging out with your friends or going out on a date night. That's just a whole nother, topic. So I decided to take on the Ivy League because, one, I believe that God has placed this in my life for me to go out and not only help individuals financially, but to really get into what I like to study, which is behavioral economics. It's the why and how we spend and what we do. So that's essentially what I do, who I am, and how I came about to this to the Ivy League idea. I'm super excited because the company is growing. People are becoming aware of who I am. The team is growing. Got financial planners. I've got attorneys, folks that I'm working with, and I'm really excited to share all of this in this podcast. So what I'm going to be here to do, as relates to this, with this channel and with this platform and this podcast, is to really just kind of take this really complicated or somewhat complicated stuff and to break it down into something very simple that we can understand. I don't think a lot of times, I'm for certain that a lot of times parents didn't want to teach us or didn't want to show us the right way, but a lot of people didn't know what to do themselves. Like, we just kind of carry on with family traditions, outside influences. We take what people are doing on the surface and we apply it to every level of our life, not realizing like either that person, yeah, they fresh, but they going home to no food or no couch or a whole bunch of other random stuff that we didn't even take into consideration. And then with the incorporating and sprinkling some social media, it can really take a turn on your pockets. So I want to help people find balance between understanding that you can live a life that is fulfilled and you can have a ball doing it, but you don't have to go into debt making these things come to life either. So just being strategic, having a plan, working the plan, watching stuff come to life. For this podcast, you'll be talking to me, obviously. I'm also going to bring in my amazing husband, Antoine, who is kind of almost the polar opposite of me when it comes to this whole money thing. Antoine is very frugal. If you give that man $20, he will make it last for much longer than anyone else would. So he's going to come in. My daughter, Kaylin Ivy, she's 9 and she recently opened up a fruit business. I want to kind of come and talk to her because if we can help it, we want to start having these types of conversations with our children, because I think that's one of the opportunities that I had growing up. I watched a lot of things happen within the household, but I didn't quite understand it. I incorporate Kaylin in budgeting meetings at home when we sit down figuring out what we got to pay. She has her own business. She's even responsible for buying her own toys, things from Justice, Fortnite stuff. She got to buy it herself because I want her to understand the importance of stewardship at an early age versus consumerism. If I can prevent her from getting burnt and learning in a hard way, that's absolutely what I want to do. I also have other guests that will come in, financial planners, to help us discuss stocks and bonds and how to kind of like get into this game. Or is it a good thing to get into? Is it too late? Is it too soon? Discussing how can we set up our future so that way our children are okay and our children's children are okay. I want to have an attorney to come in. I'm excited about having one of my homegirls. She's an attorney. Going to discuss the basic fundamentals of having trust and wills and estates in place, understanding what the differences are and how they apply to your life. How can you incorporate these things to make sure that once you leave this place, you're okay, your loved ones are okay, and that your things are taken care of just as a whole. This podcast, I want to say, and I mean this in like the most sincere way, it's not a spectator sport. Dealing with your personal finances involves you being involved. You got to be in the game. You got to have your skin in it. Your teeth got to be in it. You got to be invested and you got to work it. And one of the things that I want to be able to make sure that I get across is to just kind of encourage everyone to let them know, regardless of whatever your background is, where you come from, what you think you don't know and what you might know. It's never too late to just be great. It's never too late to be better. It's never too late to improve. So when I say it's not a spectator sport, we're going to be involved. I'll also have a segment where you'll be able to ask questions, get things answered. As far as contact information, you'll be able to reach out on Facebook or email those questions over to me, and we'll talk about them on the podcast and address them here. In the meantime, I will definitely recommend just starting to gather some ideas of, where do you see yourself? Really think about where do you see yourself within the next few years. We all have goals, but are the actions that we're taking today moving us closer to those goals or pushing us back further away? And if we really start to become intentional about making these things come to life, that it can happen. I remember sometimes setting certain goals and wanting things, but not really believing that it could happen, right? Like, you see, like, oh man, this person has $10,000 saved, right? And $10,000, depending on who you speak to or talk to, it's a small amount of money, or it can be everything. And for someone like me at that time, it was everything. But when you actually start to implement certain steps and take action towards making this $10,000 a reality, it becomes very, very real. So yeah, we'll also have a Wealth is the New Black segment. Wealth is the New Black is the Ivy League's, I don't want to say like clothing store or apparel line, but it sort of kind of is. It's essentially, it came about because I was like riding down 94 on my way to work, and it hit me all of a sudden just on the freeway. I'm just chilling, driving, and I was like, dang, Wealth is the New Black. And for some, it's like, oh no, you know, that's cheesy, that's corny. But for me, it's really a representation of the movement that's about to take place with this company. I really have a heart that goes out for my people. I want to see us do better. I want us to be better. And the Wealth is the New Black is the mantra that pushes this all ahead. So within that segment of the podcast, we'll address some, you know, things within our culture, our society that could potentially be holding us back. And what are some of the things that we can do to help us shift our mindset to just be better? That's the end all be all goal of this entire journey. Just be better, right? We can eat better, sleep better, spend better, well, just be better. So, yeah, how long has this been?
12 minutes.
That's it? Oh my gosh. All right, so be sure to follow me on Facebook. So my page on Facebook is the Ivy League LLC. Join the community. I'm always giving tips on small things that we can do to see large improvements. So join me again, the Ivy League LLC on Facebook. If you guys have questions, feel free to email me too. I want to address these questions. I'm really excited about this Q&A portion. The email address where you can reach me is Cara Ivy, so it's CARAIVY at theivyleaguellc.com. So Cara Ivy at theivyleaguellc.com. I'll take those questions in. We'll get them addressed on air. That's going to be tons of fun. Share your journeys. If you've got something that you've done, that you've applied in your life, and you're like, hey, this helped me out, let's talk about it. Let's see how we can help other people apply these same principles and concepts. Yeah, so, you know what? I think that's it. I'm so excited about this podcast journey. This is about to be an adventure. And I'm excited about us all doing this together. Like, let's all be better together. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, I will see you later. Bye.